Hi, I'm Cameron, and I don't just read comics, I love them. On today's episode of Cameron Reads Comics, my friend Jesse and I are reviewing Season 1 of the Disney Plus series Loki. Just a warning, there are going to be full and complete spoilers for Loki Season 1, and remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Cameron Reads Comics, and make sure to clobber the like and subscribe buttons, as well as leave me a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Now, here is your episode on Loki. And we're back. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Cam.
It's been, for the listeners, I don't know how long it's been, but for us, it's been a while.
It's been a while, guys. I know you all missed me.
I missed him. I missed him a lot.
See, for anyone who doesn't know, Cameron and I don't work together anymore.
I know. And that's why, you know, for my fans that paid attention, big shout out to the person who commented on my YouTube channel who said, hey, you haven't had an episode in 2 weeks and I'm waiting for Batman Earth 1 Volume 3. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just got whomped with new job and lifestyle, whatever. And so we're back, and Jesse's back because we're going back to our format. Also, it's really important to say that I think we should also acknowledge at the beginning of this episode, I made a promise to the audience that we were going to do a Loki series, like, episodic review.
Hey, man, life happens.
That didn't happen, and so this is that, and we're going to just do some good stuff.
Cameron made you that promise when we were still coworkers.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I was always on because I was always here.
Yeah, we were always and I was always here, and now that's not quite the case. So we're here now, and we're glad to be together. I'm excited.
Well,
I'm glad to be here.
I'm just kidding.
Jesse called me his friend, and that is
did.
to someone else, not just to my face. But okay, we need to talk about Loki, because going in, I think it's really important for me to say that this is not the number one show I was looking forward to, and so that being the case, like, we may have talked about that in the Disney Investors Meeting episode, like when they announced it and showed us the trailers. I was like, this is never quite the show that I was like so looking forward to, and so I think that may have tainted my perception of it.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you already go in like with that, like, already you had that kind of mindset, like, I don't know if I'm going to like this, so you didn't?
It brings me to my first question for you, and I think we kind of need to go over these before we go into something like this. Which is, how did you feel about Loki as a character in the MCU? Like, just even before the show, let's say, like, up through Infinity War, how did you feel about him?
There was like varying levels of like how I liked his character and the way that he was portrayed throughout a lot of the films. It was somewhere in the middle, man. You know, there was some films that I didn't really like him in, and there was other ones, you know, like Ragnarok, where I was just like, he's great. I love him. You know, I didn't feel really. I wasn't like a guy that was like, oh, I love Loki. I love Tom Hiddleston. I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
But you know, he was almost Loki before he was that great actor too, right? Like,
no,
kind of made him who he is.
Yeah.
I like Loki.
Yeah.
I you know, he's varying degrees of being a shitbag to being like the anti-hero to being the hero. You know, it just depends on the film that he's in, I guess.
Yeah, I think.
Why? How did you feel about him? How have you felt about him?
I was completely indifferent.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and I'm like, when he's, it's hard because I'm like, that's literally me not even being able to spit out the words. It kind of shows you how I felt about him.
Right. But like his death, just for instance, his death in Infinity War, like it was just kind of like, oh well, yeah, there goes Loki. Right?
That one had stakes because I think he is set apart. Then he's not. I think, you know.
I mean that scene was almost like a redemption thing for him, you know. But like you almost expected it. You're like, well, he's gonna die.
Of the deaths in Infinity War, I think that one hurt the most. I think for me, because he's set apart from a lot of the other, and I don't want to say villain because he's not quite a villain anymore, especially, and even around then, or even around Ragnarok, he wasn't quite a villain. Like,
but
he
like
was.
Thanos kills his own daughter.
Yeah, so I'm like, you want to talk about a character I really have less stake in? Let's just talk Gamora. I'm like, okay, cool, like.
But maybe it's because I have kids. Shut up. All right.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm like, I don't know. But we've spent so much time with that character. He's of the villains appeared in so many things, and the only one we can almost kind of compare is like Zemo. And that's only because we just got a series with him in, but otherwise, like, I couldn't think of another more charismatic, villain-ish kind of character that, like, the way they lean into the trickster aspect of him is really good. But I just don't think that I was never like so invested in Loki as like an idea, and even like as I read the comics more, because I obviously started reading Marvel comics as the movies got more successful.
Sure,
he's not even my favorite Thor villain. So
yeah, and he's not really a Thor villain. Can we agree on that? Right? I mean, he is, but he almost at the same time isn't really.
I just feel like I want to say
it's like Magneto, right?
Yeah,
like he's a villain, but he's not. Right?
He's inevitable, and not in the Thanos way, but in like whatever affects Thor is going to affect Loki because he's always up to something. And I think that's how, like, whatever affects the X-Men is going to affect Magneto.
Right.
Because that's just the nature of their relationship.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so going into the show, again, like, I was like, okay, like,
yeah.
I like the character. I liked him. I think, it's hard to like him in Dark World because that movie's just a hard movie to like anyways.
It's Ragnarok that really brings it back into
yes.
like, okay, this is great. Just the whole banter between them the entire time was fantastic.
And I personally really liked him in Avengers, but like he wasn't my favorite part of that movie.
No, and it's almost like he's the end of the jokes. I mean, the end of the movie when he gets slammed.
Yeah,
you're like, haha. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Hulk smashes him.
Yeah. And even I didn't realize how much it hit me, but like I really did upon my rewatch of Loki the show.
Okay.
I liked Phil Coulson's line where he says, "Oh, like you're gonna lose. It's in your nature."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, like I just really that just reconciled so much of like, oh, I like that character a lot more when I reheard that line after this journey that we've been on with him." And so yeah, I just want to touch base with that before we get into the show because I think that's important. So we knew how excited I was, but I guess as the trailers and we caught up more with kind of like teasers, everything with the show, how excited were you going into it?
Well, when like you were just talking, I think I probably was the least excited about it. I didn't really know how they were going to play it off. Once I saw the trailers, I think my hype level grew quite a bit.
That's awesome.
But who cares about the trailer? Why don't we talk about the show?
Okay, I'm just like,
I was more hyped. Okay, not initially, but after watching WandaVision and after watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier, whatever you want to call that show.
Was it the Captain America show?
I was, they had done such a great job so far that I was really starting to look forward to Loki.
Yeah. Okay. Now we can get into the show.
Just get right into it, man.
How'd you like it?
I fucking loved it.
I know.
But I'm, there's like two, I'm always like, right? Every time I'm on here, it's either I love ninja shit.
Yeah.
It's either ninjas or sci-fi. I love both of those things.
Deeply.
It was so sci-fi and so good to me. Like the first couple episodes, and we can go through the episodes if you want to or not. I don't care.
I don't have too many questions. It's very loose today.
The first, it's been a while. We're just shooting from the hip here.
Yeah.
The first couple episodes, the relationship with first him getting to the TVA and just being like,
yeah,
what the hell's going on? Don't you know who I am? It's hilarious. They're like, shut up.
Right? Literally. He's like, I don't want to take a ticket. There's one other person in line.
It was great, man. And somebody else pointed out after you watch it and upon watching, the other guy that's in line I think he's just another Loki variant because he looks just like him.
Oh, really?
He's like, look at this guy over here. And then when you watch it again, you're like, oh, yeah, that's probably just another Loki. But starting off having, like this buddy cop show, it was the Mobius and Loki, like CSI. It was like CSI TVA, right?
Yeah.
And it was cool. And then when they go to the moon, it turned into this weird science fiction, like Star Wars kind of galactic thing. And then it just turned into fucking Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it was like the one I've heard a lot of is like Doctor Who.
I've never watched Doctor Who, so I have Absolutely no idea.
Just bouncing around everywhere. I've never watched it
Sure,
either.
but like it was. You know what the thing that really made it for me too. And I watched the whole thing. I didn't watch them all. I didn't watch the whole series and then rewatch the whole series. I watched most episodes. Just like I watched it once and then the next day I watched it again.
Yeah,
because I loved it. But the soundtrack, just the weird little like just the soundtrack, weird noises,
like the title music.
Yeah,
was
just the
always
weird
interesting.
xylophone shit, and then like I don't know, there was some weird strings that they would put in there, and I was like, this is so weird. It was weird, dude. The show was weird, and I loved it.
Yeah. Okay.
Loved
Well,
it,
I'm
dude.
glad. And I think that's where they lost me too. Is it was a little too weird for my
It was
taste.
fucking wacko.
And like, you know, for the because it's so funny whenever socially I'll go to events and people are like, how do you? They'll touch base with the most recent Marvel content and just ask me my opinion, and I'm like, for this one, it was everyone's like, I'm in love with this show, and I'm like, it's fun. You know, that's about as much as I have to say. I don't have really anything like quite bad to say about it. It's more just along the lines of, yeah, it's just not for me. Like I have to watch it.
You and I. That's what you just said is exactly how I feel about Black Widow. It was fun.
Oh yeah.
That's all.
Oh yeah,
like, that is it, dude.
It's so
I was
funny.
like, it was a fun movie to watch.
For
Then
context,
I was like, just let me go watch Loki.
for context in the fans, everyone's like hitting me up and like, or like your Jesse, Hannah, and I have a group chat, and it's just like, hey, like, oh, this episode of Loki was so crazy, I can't believe this happened, da 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 da. And then at the end, Jesse, I was watching. Oh my gosh, I was like, Loki's fine for the first 3 episodes or whatever, and then we go see Black Widow or whenever that came out. I think it was last week. We go see Black Widow, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Black Widow is the kind of bread and butter Marvel content that I needed, because I'm like, Loki is just too heady for me. It's just going above my head.
Heady, yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need. And Jesse's like, it's so basic, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I needed.
Not that I didn't like that movie.
Of course.
What you just said, it was the same way that I feel about that.
Yeah, and I think there's a mutual respect there, because I'm like, yo, it's also, I'm so glad that we are getting this content that is like, you know, it's not every movie is Iron Man 1 again.
Yeah, and everything's not for everyone, right?
Exactly. Sure. And I'm like, that's what I want, is that like we're getting in this space now where comic movies are not a genre. They are literally just a medium, and so it's like And
then there's genres within that.
Yes,
medium.
And we're seeing that, like, Logan was a Western. Mm-hmm. We have this one, which is like
it's sci-fi, man. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's putting this character, like this freaking magic character, into almost the first couple episodes a procedural drama, like a freaking Law and Order kind of thing.
Yeah,
almost.
like I said, to me it was CSI, because he joined
exactly.
the team, right? Like,
yeah, it's okay. Let's do a bunch of paperwork, and it's like, what? Like, why is this what's happening?
Yeah, and there was so many cool conspiracy theory Easter eggs that they put in there. There was him being DB Cooper, which I've talked about on this show before, and I think I was talking about it in the trailer, maybe, because
it came out in the trailer.
DB Cooper, they make him DB Cooper again. I'm not going to explain it. Just go Google DB Cooper. But they make Loki DB Cooper. There's also one of the things on the timeline is Oak Island, where I believe that's where, man, like Blackbeard's treasure or someone's treasure's buried is on Oak Island, and then when they went to the Void, when they're in the bowling alley with all the Lokis, there's a Polybius machine, which is the arcade machine that people thought was government mind control. They threw in a bunch, and then the ship that shows up, the giant ship that drops down.
Yeah.
That is the ship that the Navy said that they were able to cloak, like they made that ship disappear in real life, which is another conspiracy theory.
Oh,
like that was all these weird conspiracy theories.
Ship
man.
of Theseus.
Like, come on, let's go. What is happening here?
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, all above my. It's like, okay, it's almost, you know, for me, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about any of the Sharon Tate Manson murder stuff, and so again, it's like that. Like I watched that movie, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what just happened,
right.
And that's what Loki was to me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know any of this context, and like usually, and that's the tough part about me being as into comics that I am, is because I feel like I just need to know all of the context, and so if I don't know, I'm like, identity crisis almost.
Oh my gosh,
You know?
you didn't like it because it wasn't tied into a story that you could relate to, huh, Cam?
That's probably
All right.
that's probably exactly, and like there's.
But isn't it why that's great? Like it's good. It was like so.
I don't know. I'm reconciling that within myself.
Okay, I like it. I love this therapy session that we have every once in a while, you and I.
It's and I feel.
Let's talk
bad.
about things that you missed in the show because you always seem to miss something.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You know what? Here I gotta go. I gotta go on the offensive at least a little bit here because I don't think it was a perfect show.
It wasn't by any means perfect, and I don't think that any of the 3 shows that they've put out so far. Sorry, excuse me, have been perfect.
I want to talk about that because I think I have a theory about that, and I don't think it's quite a theory. I think it actually just works and makes sense. I don't know if the weekly. Okay, I need to start from the beginning.
Sure.
There's the MCU films, and I think they can kind of cash out on identifying that everyone's going to see those films.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone's going to go see the MCU films, but not everyone is going to get Disney Plus. And so I think all of these shows are just existing in this weird like zone where they can't quite like they can't have too much of an impact on the MCU. And so it's like I feel like, and that's been probably my biggest problem with Loki. Just like if I'm looking at it fundamentally, I don't see that, but also really any of the shows and even the most recent movie having any crazy impact on the MCU. Like
the most recent movie for sure.
it's like we just know how that ends. But for me with Loki, I'm kind of like, no matter how far the show goes, I can see the last episode just taking him back to Infinity War or like putting him right back in the Avengers. And him not going out, you know what I mean? Just having all these memories and then that changing the trajectory of who he is to be destined to die at Thanos' hands.
Yeah.
I see that. I just see that. And then, but
that's like the conversation that him and Classic Loki had, where Classic Loki told him that he just made himself an inanimate object and floated through space.
Yeah.
So he just told like our MCU Loki that he could have done the same thing. So when he finds himself in that situation, can't he just do that?
Yeah, and there's a big fan theory about that too, because he stabbed him left-handed or whatever it be.
And I brought that up
you brought that up
long time ago.
Yeah.
And you know what though? Speaking of Marvel being meta, if they did that, if they planted that there, and they bring it back up 6 or 7 years later, like, wow, guys. That's a deep dive, man.
Yeah. He's always going to be Loki too, though. So,
but he did stab left-handed, and he's not left-handed. If you watch any of his sword fighting scenes, he always fights with his right hand.
And I get that, but I just mean like these shows. Right?
Anyways, we're off topic.
The point I'm trying to make is that these shows can't have so much of an impact on the MCU, and that's why I'm waiting for them to do something big and bombastic. But I'm not.
I mean, they literally just opened the multiverse, though, and that's a way for them to literally really do whatever they want. You need to recast somebody? Go ahead. And you don't need to explain why.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm like, that's still not a new idea because we've seen that. And that's why I'm like,
that's like we saw that in the Flash TV show.
No. I'm saying we've seen that in the MCU already. Literally, the Hulk and the Ancient One had that conversation in Endgame.
But they had that conversation because Kang let it happen.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Strange only saw one outcome because it was the outcome that Kang wanted him to see.
No.
Yes.
No, I disagree with that.
Because the Infinity Stones are worthless.
Well, yeah, I'm like, but no, I literally am not. This is the thing. I'm like waiting for these shows to do something brand new, but because the Infinity Stones are worthless, any of the stakes that have already been previously set up just don't matter. I'm like, where are the stakes here? Because no matter what, Ancient One and Hulk already going back into time like that, and Cap being able to live his life in the past already sets up that there's a branch. So the multiverse has already existed.
Yeah, but I just figured that's because Kang and whichever thing, he let that be that timeline.
Yeah.
And any other ones, the TVA went and did the little wipe
like the Loki ones.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I'm like, again, I'm just trying to say,
as soon as Loki took the Tesseract and bailed, they went back through and wiped it.
Yes, I see that, but I'm like, I'm like, that didn't do anything new for me because I already see that. And with all the conversations we've already had about X-Men universe and Spider-Man universe and what they're doing with Spider-Man, the multiverse has already been broken since freaking Adrian Toomes appeared in the Morbius trailer. You know what I mean? Like, and Ralph Boner in freaking WandaVision. I'm like,
what do you mean the Morbius trailer? What happened to that fucking movie?
Oh, it's coming out like in 2022, like January.
The vampire one?
Yeah.
Who appeared in it?
Adrian, like Michael Keaton Vulture appeared in the Morbius trailer. That is canon. Go watch it.
No, I know. I watched it.
I know. I'm talking to the audience at that point. Go check it out. but like literally, like it's already been a thing.
So how does that break the How does that already make it a multiverse?
Because that's Sony's universe, and Adrian Toomes Vulture, Michael Keaton Vulture, is from the MCU.
Yeah, but Feige guy already said that the Venom fucking crossover is already gonna happen because they live in the same fucking
but that's
the same verse.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, maybe I guess I wouldn't even say though thematically they opened it up to that because it's been introduced. Like the branches aren't new, and I'm like, that's the hard time I have with this show because I'm like. I felt like for the longest time I was waiting for something to happen. By the end of episode 3, I was like waiting for like something. But to the defense,
you put too much weight on big moments, though. See that?
I think
just enjoy it for what it is. You don't need like
it's not that it's that these shows, and I think the problem, I guess, really what I'm trying to make is everything has already happened in these shows. Like I don't think you don't need to watch the shows at all to understand the universe. And that's the problem I'm having with them.
Yeah, it's funny. Going back to what you said before is not everybody has Disney Plus. It's funny because I have friends that have never watched the Marvel movies, but they're watching the Disney Plus shows. Yeah. And then they try to talk to me about it. I'm like, all the movies are on there. Go watch them.
Yeah, literally.
Like, you should really just, what else you got to watch? Just go watch them. You have Disney Plus.
And like, because it's like you can pick up WandaVision and be like, wow, she learned a new kind of magic and Vision came back. Those are pretty much the two things of that show that you could, otherwise it's good. Blue Marvel she'll show up at the Marvels show.
Huh?
Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Blue Marvel?
Yeah, that's who What's-Her-Face is going to be.
Who? Oh, yeah.
Photon or whatever.
Photon. Yeah. Sorry.
I think that's the fan theory she'll be Blue Marvel. But then with
because that movie, The Marvels, that's what it's called, right? Captain America. No, sorry.
Yeah. No,
Captain
it's
Marvel,
the Marvels. Yeah. Then with Captain America and Winter Soldier or whatever, you saw Sam get handed the shield. Yeah, if you see him as the new Cap Falcon, that's pretty much you're there. Like that's all you need. And so with Loki, it's like, oh, we've already seen the branches. Oh, there's a multiverse. I'm like, I needed just something more. I needed like a mic drop, and I just feel like I did not get my mic drop.
Oh, I really liked the last episode with
let's bounce around. Let's go into it.
I really liked it. To me, that was like WandaVision was the end because I expected too much from WandaVision.
It was a lot, yeah.
They totally. I expected way too much. I put too much into that.
Mephisto,
dude, the Mephisto, and then like the Quicksilver thing, just totally, and then. It was like it ramped up. Oh, Quicksilver, and then that boner joke happened, which I've already talked about, and I was like, all right, I put too much weight into this. And then the same thing, we did a review of the Winter Soldier and Falcon, and that finale felt flat to me too. So having Jonathan Majors come in as Immortus, basically, right?
Yeah, yes.
I mean,
I just call him Kang.
He's Kang, but yeah. I mean, for lack of a better, they didn't call him Kang. He's basically Immortus. He's tired, but he was so fucking good, wasn't he?
I wasn't a fan,
dude. So here's my thing: any Kang book that you've given me, which was Young Avengers, and
have you read Young Avengers?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh! Okay, we'll record about that.
So I did Young Avengers, which is obviously
amazing.
Kang's in it.
No spoilers.
No spoiler. What?
For Young Avengers and Kang,
they get to it right away. Come on.
Okay.
I didn't say.
Just tread lightly. That's all.
I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay.
He's the villain in the Young Avengers.
Yes. That's it.
But he's a goofy fucking character, man.
I don't disagree.
And so my real first introduction to Kang, the character, was playing Lego's Marvel 2 with my daughters. When they were
fine. That's a good game.
So in the second one, Kang's the main villain, and he's just always losing to the Avengers, and he's kind of a whiny, goofy character.
Yeah.
So I think him being Jonathan Majors being that like oddball.
Yeah,
like
him being
he's
weird.
So odd.
That's why I didn't like him.
Oh, I loved it, dude. I'm hoping that Kang doesn't become like this villain where he's like a crazy like psychopath. Like I hope he keeps some of that like kooky. It's not charm, but it's like
it's like charisma. Like
it's like a certain I don't know.
I want to say he's like bubbly, and I don't like that at all.
I thought it was great.
Good.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. He was so nonchalant about them being there, and he's eating the apple, and he's just like, come on into my office. And they're like, what the
Yeah,
fuck? And he's like, come on.
It totally caught me off. And I wanted more like Brainiac energy. You know, like I wanted him to be just drone. And like,
well,
I
I mean,
there's a problem with the timeline. I'm
check
not
it out,
like,
man.
that.
Like, for anybody who's wondering, you're going to get different versions of Kang.
Yeah.
You just got one, and the one that shows up,
Exactly.
the one that's going to show up in the other timelines is not going to be that one.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to get a bunch of versions because you kill him, like you said, he's just going to come back again. You can't get rid of him.
You know what it'll be? Oh my gosh. It'll be like Thanos wins. That's what I think is going to happen.
I never read Thanos Wins.
Yes, you did. I gave it's Cosmic Ghost Rider and all that.
Oh, I fucking loved that.
Yeah, I know.
That was so good. Can they do that? So I'm yelling now, dude. That was good.
You definitely read that.
Oh, I did.
Think about that. Think about old Thanos fighting young Thanos, and then freaking kings don't beg.
Okay, so you're saying they're going to do that with Kang.
I would. That's my assumption. Just off
But that'd be kind of weird, taking one storyline and
That's literally what they did with Loki, man. That's literally this. Like that's what hurt me the most. It's like literally they just took a Fantastic Four story
I know that you just did this, but you know what hurt me the most?
What?
Fucking Taskmaster.
Oh, I love Taskmaster. Honestly,
I love Taskmaster as a character. That movie was.
Everyone should go check out what the Worthless Film Podcast. That's where we review.
I thought you did
Black
it here.
Widow. No, I'm gonna take it and
Repost
put it here,
it.
but
I should put it here.
I'll put it on both, but
Do it.
Everyone should go check that out too.
Check it out first. There.
I have more
then
than one
come back
podcast.
here. You listen here first.
I sure hope so. But yeah, so with for me, I don't know, Taskmaster.
Oh, whatever.
A different
See,
conversation.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay, hold on. I know you got questions and shit, but I it's been so long. Let me ask some goddamn questions.
Good.
Did you at any point think that Sylvie was going to not be a Loki variant and that she was going to be Enchantress?
No, because honestly, I think just now we've been so fortunate to have so many great, and I guess this goes back to really how I feel about Taskmaster. We've had so many great like B-list characters that I'm like, great. I don't know who Enchantress is. I have no exposure. So
Sure.
really, and same with Taskmaster. I'm like, he's a B-lister. He's cool. He has his thing. They did the mirror thing in the movie, so literally identity-wise, I didn't care who it was. I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's so-and-so.
It was obvious.
I didn't think it was obvious. It caught me off guard, and it was fun. But with Sylvie, I was like, oh, cool. Like I liked the Loki variants that they showed, like classic Loki, like kid Loki, Sylvie.
Alligator Loki.
I didn't care about him.
No, nobody cared about him, but he was there, and you forgot about him until you saw him like walking around. And you're like, there he is again. He's like an alligator.
So with Sylvie's arc, I liked Sylvie. I
didn't like her at first. I didn't like her the choice of casting. I didn't like her how her energy didn't match Tom Hiddleston's charisma, but then it did as the show went on.
I don't know. How did you feel about their romance?
I'm not one of those people that's gonna say like, "Hey, man, like, dude, you guys blew it like Star Wars did." Like, we're the whole.
It wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't that bad. Because to me, when you know who Loki is,
yeah.
and you realize that, of course, Loki's so narcissistic that the only person that he would fall in love with is himself.
No, that's exactly how I felt about it, but it still felt weird.
You know what? Here, I'll tell you what. When I was thinking about it in my brain, like thinking about them, like, oh man, he loves her. This is kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about this. And then when they kissed, I was like, oh, I don't feel weird. I didn't feel weird about it at all. I was like, okay, that's fine.
I just needed a platonic brother and sister relationship, and they did not give me.
Nah,
that.
man, it's him. He who doesn't love himself. I love myself.
You know, but I mean, I don't want to talk about that.
But check it out, man.
Oh my god.
That whole end scene to me showed that Loki had changed as a character. Our MCU Loki had changed because he was telling her he cared about somebody and he cared about her, and what Sylvie was, and he was trying to portray, she was just the old Loki. All she wanted was the revenge and to do what she needed to do. And I'm not sure if they try to portray her after she shanks him, Kang, if she stabs him. Hey, come on, man. You didn't like the I'll see you soon wink? That was great. She stabs him. He's like, I'll see you soon, and winks at her like, you done fucked up.
No.
It was almost as if Kang knew what was going to happen one way or the other. Like, I'm either going to let you guys take over and I'm done, or you're going to kill me and I'm done.
Yeah.
So what's it going to be, guys?
Yeah, and, yeah. Like, I don't know.
But anyways, the question I was saying, do you think she felt remorseful afterwards? Like, man, maybe I made a mistake. And she kind of sat down on the ground and clanked down with the sword.
No. I got to rewatch the finale. I only rewatched like the first 2 episodes before this, but no, I think she was a woman on a mission. And again, to go into Loki's narcissism, I don't think he, this whole series is kind of about him showing regret and changing. So I really don't know.
Yeah, and the Sif, Lady Sif, right? Is that?
Yeah.
I mean,
scene.
that scene really showed him like, okay, I'm done. Like, no more. Don't kick me in the balls anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and him. It was. And then wasn't there a moment when he like chose that for himself too? He like wanted to punish himself in the show, or am I?
Yeah, he said he wanted Mobius to put him back in. Mobius.
Yeah, no.
He wanted him to put him back in.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, like wow. So I was into it. I liked that. A lot of people didn't like the clip show of the first episode of like him like realizing, but also he did have to play catch up. That made the most sense. And then him watching his actions hurt other people and like the trajectory of where he was going, I thought was a good catalyst into the character we got. How did you like the Loki that they took, like the post Avengers Loki, Avengers 1?
Well, I mean, what other choice did they have?
I don't know.
But I think
friggin' that Ragnarok Loki, like, who was Odin the whole time. I don't know, like. There's plenty of options.
Yeah, no, I liked that they took him. I mean, it made sense to show those clips, and it was impactful watching him kind of mourn for something that he had done before he did it, but it was weird watching the clips of him because it was like a younger Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
And even though he's supposed to be playing
like
a younger version of himself, he has obviously aged.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, oh, that's him 5 years ago and you're 5 years older, but you're supposed to be 12 years younger. See how the time thing starts fucking with your head when you really think about it.
Oh yeah. And that's inevitable. I really liked it. I like that scene. Again, and it brought back dialogue from older movies that just worked so much better now. And I was like, ooh.
My favorite scene by far, I apologize for us jumping around.
I don't care.
Is episode 5 when they go to the void and there's all the Lokis, and it's just.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is that your favorite episode?
Yeah.
Episode 5. Wow.
Yeah, man, the glorious purpose with the OG Loki when he's like. Dude, it's like Flight of the Valkyries playing, dun 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 dun, dun, and he's like pulling up Asgard, and it's all green, and he's like he yells a glorious purpose, and I also think he turned himself into the helmet. I don't think he died. His helmet clanks to the ground, and he just turned himself into an object. Yeah, just like he did with Thanos.
Oh, wait, he turned himself into an object?
Yeah, he said with Thanos, I turned myself into an inanimate object. And fooled him with my projection, and then I just floated through space for years, and then ended up on a moon, and that's how the TVA didn't.
Oh, that's exactly what happens. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's what he did when Algareth or whatever came down. He just turned himself into his hat, his horns, and dropped.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I like the love that classic Loki got was so cool.
I'm so glad that he did too.
Yeah, and I'm so glad, and like, There's moments where the MCU like poked fun at the old costumes, you know what I mean? Like in Captain America 1 and in WandaVision more recently, like there's some part of them that don't work. His suit worked like so well.
Well, for that version of him, for sure, but not you don't want to see Tom Hiddleston.
I don't want to, but I'm like, wow, for them to just pay that much attention and just like give that its time, like that version, and not even just I don't mean like the older Loki, I just mean like that costume in particular. That was like, wow, like what if Jack Kirby got to see, like what if Stan Lee got to see that? That would be so special, and like that is so special.
It was special. Yeah, and the cool thing was too, they didn't put it. They didn't. It was very smart that they didn't put a young actor in it as OG Loki in that costume. They made it an older guy that had escaped death and had just been surviving. And so he was actually classic Loki, but at the same time, he was future Loki. He's the only one that lived past the Thanos thing. That's why he was old.
And the setup for young Loki too
but
was
man,
really cool.
Yeah, That was great. But man, classic Loki got caught because he missed his brother. Like, dang. Right?
Oh, I love that.
He's like, what happened? He's like, I missed my brother. I wanted to know if people missed me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, dang, man.
It's good. It's good because we never get to see that side.
And then
Loki.
Vote for Loki shows up and gets his fucking hand bit off.
I'm so glad freaking Vote for Loki had that much time. I'm like, I was like, that's all I needed from
right?
you.
Yeah. And it was great. And it
exactly.
was just another, just another scene where someone loses their hand.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Where's Rocket when you need him, man? He'd be stoked. Those are good. I think that was my favorite episode too. It's like the easiest one.
It was the most batshit crazy one.
I needed. That's what I needed. I was looking more for that, but I'm like, you could have given me more too. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
you got Frog Thor. You got
my favorite Easter egg in the entire MCU.
Of course, you got 1,000 Lokis that were in that room with him. There were so many variants of him, and they all pulled swords. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And then you got the Thor Loki version of Loki. You get the kid Loki, who every time he picked up the alligator like a baby just made me smile. He just kept picking him up like a little baby.
Oh, and he's like, you know what? In my head, because they've already kind of alluded to the Frog Thor thing.
Yeah.
In my head, that's Kid Loki. Kid Loki was the one who put Frog Thor in the jar.
Right.
And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I picture happened because I'm like, otherwise, like it makes that canon. And then it was just the fact that the freaking Mjolnir was like that far away from the jar.
Yeah.
I just can't get over it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was the best. That was the absolute best because I'm like, that happened. And they made, that was the first time, I don't know, in any MCU show that I double backed mid episode. I was like, I can't get further than seeing this thing right now.
There was a lot of Easter eggs in that episode. And kudos to them for like really doing some deep dives and like pulling out like the Thanos copter. The Thanos copter is there, and then go Google like the book, the image that's from.
Yeah.
Man, like why does Thanos need a helicopter?
I mean,
and then when you see him in that book from whenever it was, 1972 or whatever, it is so bad.
I love that. Those are the best. I love those quirky little things.
It's so goofy, and there was a lot. There was you can watch it 100 times and not catch everything.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have too much. We've covered a lot of the bases that I wanted to cover. Who's your favorite character?
I don't have one. I don't have one. They were
all great. That's a good thing.
I loved Owen Wilson as Mobius. I really did. I loved classic Loki. I love Kang does most of the talking in that last episode, so he had more screen time than Owen Wilson, almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Kang. Ravonna Renslayer she was good in her scenes.
Is that the Sylvie?
No, it's the Judge Renslayer.
Okay, yes.
And so that's another thing is like I'm glad that they didn't. Not that there was any reason that we should have thought we were going to get Mephisto in WandaVision. There's no reason that we it's just us being wackos.
I don't think we're going to see Mephisto. I'll just say it.
So what I'm getting at is I'm glad that because all signs pointed to Kang, man.
Yeah,
Renslayer, there was when Sylvie had a weapon in the first episode, and they said, "Oh, that's 30th century tech." Like every single thing was pointing towards Kang, so it was like it's got to be Kang. Everything's pointing towards him.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't rug pull us on that.
Yeah.
And then though, when I don't remember if it was first episode or second episode, when Morpheus is in the church with the kid and the candy. And there's the stained glass, and the kid points at the stained glass, and they said, "Oh, it's a demon." I was like, "That's a Mephisto joke right there, right? Wasn't it?"
I guess.
I felt like they put that in there, like, "Hey, dummies, look, it's Mephisto. Wait till next week, ha ha ha." It's Sylvie.
I'm trying to reconcile, put my thoughts together on that. They
were trolling. I feel like they were trolling, and I love it. I love when the Marvel fans get trolled for being.
Yeah.
What is the word?
I want to say toxic.
I don't think it's toxic.
Is it greedy?
It's like greedy, or it's like they overanalyze everything to the point of you went so far off base.
And that's, I think, also, again, a problem of the weekly format where it's like, man, I really do, it's hard for me to have an opinion because I need to watch this entire show like almost in one sitting.
You said it yourself as we've been doing these reviews. You have too much time from week to week to analyze what's going on.
It's so tough.
Instead of just sitting in the theater and enjoying a 2.5 or 3 hour movie and not overanalyzing it till after the movie, and then you can do that and you can pontificate all you want until the next movie comes out, but you've already seen the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Where you don't know how this series is going to end until 6 or 8 weeks later, and then I think you might have sent me something that said it was 12 episodes.
It was originally supposed to be 12.
So we're literally at the halfway point.
Yeah.
And does that mean we're going to get more Kang? What?
Yeah, no, I think, and that's actually one of my, again, like going back to my disappointments, that was a big disappointment to me, is that, yes, all signs pointed to Kang, but we got no, like, big, I think Kang does have potential to be, like, Thanos-level villain. I think we know that we're going in multiversal war direction. Not surprised about that.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
But
I mean, he explains that, having the multiversal war with himself.
Yeah. And so I'm like, Kang being the guy was fine, but just to slide him in there at that point, and where we really had like not, I'm so, I guess, proud of the MCU the way they did Thanos, because it's like, here's literally Avengers 1, here's a sprinkle. Like, and then we knew Kang was coming when the timeline was going to get messed with. In Endgame, we were like, okay, well, there's only one person who is a time villain against the Avengers.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's going to be very cool. But to put him in a TV show and then also to make him not quite him as well, I just needed something like, I needed at the end of Endgame, Kang to look at the timeline and see like a single branch and just be like, interesting. And then that, like, go. That's all Thanos did.
But I think that he was already controlling the timeline. He was, dude.
I know, exactly. But that's how I feel about it.
He was already controlling the timeline, and I didn't feel like it was forced, his introduction. And I also feel like you have room for him as a time villain, for him to come and be defeated, and for him to come back and be defeated, for him to come back in a different variation. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Until he becomes the main, a version of him shows up that's like the baddest, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, that's just it. I'm like not super stoked, but that's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And guess what? I'm gonna see a version of him I do like. I also just really, 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 really want just like full blue. I want full freaking.
Oh, you're gonna
send
get it.
on Kang, and I want him to look so cool.
The statue of him at the end, he's wearing his Kang outfit.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch it back, the one that's standing there, he's got that purple and green. It's not purple and green, but when you look at it, it's the outfit. How did you feel about the whole like Timekeepers, Chuck E. Cheese play, with them just being animatronic robots that Kang made?
Honestly, I was okay with that. Because it leans into the little like, I like that example a lot now.
Right?
And it's exactly what it was.
That's what it was, dude.
That's the best example I've heard.
And for a second, I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
But then they quickly like.
That's how I felt, and I was like, oh yeah, like go full. You're right with your example earlier. Go full Wizard of Oz on it. And
they did.
But again, I don't think really if. I do agree. I loved how they ended the season with, I think that was a perfect season finale ending. I also thought it was the worst post-credit scene of all time. Anyways.
The last one? It wasn't even a post-credit scene. It was a fucking timestamp.
That's what I'm saying. Like I say, worst post-credit scene.
Yeah, like don't do it, right? Almost.
Yeah, literally, I'm just like.
Like, you didn't need to do that.
Exactly. Or you could have a variant. Then I really just want to see Kang look at something, look at a branch and say, interesting now, because I'm very proud of that example that I just made up.
Get out of here.
That could have been the most credit scene. But
did you like when he showed up, though? And this is my thought. I don't know if this is what they were going for or not. As Loki was walking past the bookshelves, and he walked past and it like changed, and he walked past, it didn't change. He walked past and he walked past it again. He was like looking, and he was like, why am I still walking past these same bookshelves? And then he was like telling Mobius everything. He's like, yo man, are you an analyst? Like, who are you? And he was like, oh God damn it. Did you like that?
Yes. No, perfect ending.
So do you think that did you take it as when Loki was walking, that's when the time changed? Because there was a second where Hunter B12 or whatever her name was and Mobius are standing there looking at the branches, and then it shows Loki walking, and then it shows them talking about, oh, there's 66 different branches. Something about they're talking about Kang. Do you think he knows, or do you think he did this on purpose or whatever? Like, do you think that those are two different versions of them, and it changed as Loki was walking?
Yeah, I don't think he's at his allotted.
Or he's just not in his timeline. He's in a
I don't
different
think
branch.
he's in his timeline now.
Sylvie kicked him into a different one.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened.
Okay, that was my question, I guess. I just took the long way around.
No, you're good. And I'm glad. I think that's really great how they ended it. But the one thing that got me too, I was like, how come? And this is why I was like, Kang's charisma like just shined through the whole thing. But then, and I was like, Loki never seemed too like alert or distraught during his whole interaction with him. It was really his interaction with Sylvie where he was all worked up. And then when he got kicked out or whatever, and then he got free, he was like losing his mind, like, oh my gosh, this is happening, like to Mobius. I was like, where did this come from? That felt like a...
Yeah, and he said he was terrifying. He's like, there's this guy, he's terrifying. I'm like, he wasn't terrifying at all.
And that's, I was like, what the heck? And that's the kind of stuff that got me. And I think that...
Maybe a bit of like a sociopath type dude, but like he wasn't like terrifying. And I wish they would have played Tom Hiddleston's charisma against Jonathan Majors' Kang's charisma, and they would have had like a more charismatic conversation.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
there could or they could have kept it like full charm, like almost like 007, where it doesn't matter what him and the villain are saying to one another, because it's like a glacier. You know what I mean? It's so charming and so like every piece of dialogue so good, but 90% of what's really being said is under the surface.
Yeah. But I did think too that knowing Loki and his character in the MCU, he's always trying to buy time so he can manipulate whatever situation he's in. And I felt like he was trying to portray that to Sylvie, and he's like, we just need a minute. And she was like, no. And he was like, we just need a minute to think about this. And I think
that's what's scary.
I don't know that it was Loki trying to actually think about being the ruler. I think it was Loki trying to be Loki, as in like, how do we get out of this situation right now, you and I? I just need a little bit more time, because that's how he's always trying to buy himself time. You know what I mean? Always, whatever.
Yeah. No. Again, I think the show is good. I liked the ending. I don't know. It's so hard with these expectations now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I that show was my favorite out of the three.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question.
That show was my favorite. I loved every single episode so much more, and I really enjoyed that they were all so tonally, they were all so different from each other.
Yes, yeah.
None of those episodes were the other one.
I thought you meant the series were so different.
The series for sure, but
Absolutely.
like the Loki episodes, like it was like they were all different.
I gotta, I'll get back to you on that.
They were all different.
Yeah. I liked the gap. It just felt to me though. The way I felt, I just felt like I was holding my breath sometimes. I was like, okay, like I was waiting for something to happen, and I just felt like nothing quite happened until the end.
You should have just sat back and enjoyed the ride, man.
You know what? I'll get there one of these days. It's tough, man. I've found myself in those situations. Like the first half of Endgame, I really didn't like. When I was watching it in the theater, and then afterwards, I was like, "This is the best ever." So
yeah, and sometimes you go back and you watch things, and your mindsets change. I used to hate Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah,
hated it. I rewatched it a couple weeks ago. The movie's great.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so great, dude.
I feel you. Yeah.
But it's almost like it took me watching all through the movies and being, caught up with everything. Not that I was behind, but like taking that journey all the way through to the end of Endgame and then going back and revisiting it is like, oh, this means so much more to me now that I know what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're right. It's weird how Marvel has done this amazing thing where they retroactively course correct their universe as they move forward. Like, because I agree with you, and you know what? I'll see your Captain America, and I'll give you a Thor one.
I watched it. I watched Captain America, then I watched Thor.
And then when you listen to Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth's conversation, or Thor and Loki's conversations, like before like Thor doesn't trust Loki, Tom Hiddleston is amazing. Amazing. And I'm just like, that's all wonderful. Like, it's so good. And then I'm so excited to see the parallels between that movie and like the next Thor that we're going to get, where, you know, it was all about, that one's all about worthiness. Can I be Thor with this hammer, and I'm not worthy to lift up the hammer. And then seeing a parallel narrative happen with someone else, I'm so excited. So
I'm almost 100% positive that I saw that it was confirmed that Tom Hiddleston will be in Doctor Strange.
I'm sure.
Right? I don't think I'm making that up. I thought I saw that was confirmed, that he is actually going to be in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. Also, I'm kind of glad that we didn't get too many character cameos in this movie. I'm glad we got Lady Sif. That felt very appropriate. But otherwise, I'm like everyone needs to right now with all this content. Everyone can just mind their own business. That's the way I feel about that.
And if there was a show where you're not going to get cameos, even though they had the biggest chance to do every cameo they wanted in the Void. But in the Void, they could have had any character come back in the Void as a variant. Mm-hmm. Literally, you can have a variant of whoever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But they didn't take it. But there was so much going on. And it is one of those things too, where they try to do their best to explain the time thing, you know, with missed minutes.
Yeah.
But man, like I was telling you before, like, you know, in my household, Cheryl was just like, I don't want to even finish this show.
Yeah.
Like this whole space time thing, like, I don't get it, and I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to explain like dimensional things and how things stack on top of each other, like a whole quantum physics thing. And she's like, I don't want to talk about this. It's making my head hurt. Like, I just want to watch TV. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I mean, I get it. And, you know, you didn't want to muddy it up with a bunch of cameos and I don't know.
Again, yeah, it's precious. And I think, you know,
Did you just call it precious?
It was precious.
What was precious?
The timeline and
the precious timeline.
The way that they like have to do all these things, it's very like, you know, they have to hold it very I feel like Marvel, and we talk about this again, we're so proud of their thoughtfulness, but they're walking on a razor's edge, man. Like, if one movie's bad, like even for the current reviews of Black Widow, it's like, or like Captain Marvel or something like that, they misstep and they're just freaking, I don't mean to be crude, but it's like they're eating shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fans just will not let it go.
Yeah.
Like, and they're just eating so like all of it, and they're just shoving it down their throats. And it's like, oh my gosh, we have 23 movies of amazing content, more like literally like one, not even 1/3, like one out of every like 8 is not so great.
Sure.
But still watchable.
Every single one's watchable.
And
it's like fucking relax.
Exactly.
Man.
They're like, oh, but because they have had one misstep, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And I'm like, you guys all just need to calm down.
It's funny though, because people say that shit, and it's like, you're going to be in the theater watching Shang-Chi in 2 months, so shut up.
I'm so freaking. That's like, I don't know why, but I'm so excited for that movie.
Because it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be so. I'm just like so excited. The way I think about it, it's like Marvel John Wick.
Yeah,
just fight sequences, like the one from the trailer. Where like,
I don't think I'd put like a John Wick feeling on it. It's more of like it's more martial arts than that. You know what I mean? It's like like Crouching Tiger or like something like that. You know, and that's the thing too, man. Like with something like that, you can have a movie that maybe the story. I don't know. I'm not judging the movie before it's out. Maybe the story is not that great, but if you have the kung fu content and the fight scenes are like fully epic, like a John Wick. Like John Wick's not the greatest story ever. Like, come on, you're there for the gunplay and the fights.
His dog died, and they've made 3 of them. That's all I'm saying.
They're making a 4th. 4 of them. First one was his dog. Second one was his car.
Yeah, right.
I watched the third one. I don't really recall. Oh, because he crossed with what we're talking about John Wick now. Never mind. But Shang-Chi, like, even if the story is not great, I think that the martial arts and the fight scenes are going to be so good that it can probably stand alone just on that. But also the trailer showed Wang fighting Abomination, and they confirmed that it was Abomination.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, whoa, that's so like again, it's all canon, and even that's so cool. Like
Yeah.
I can't get over that.
Yeah,
That's
and there's
awesome.
your Hulk for your Dark Avengers.
We need that is the most pressing one because that's what's happening.
It is what's happening, but also Young Avengers is happening.
Oh yeah, no,
And
absolutely.
I read that, so that's what we need to do.
We're gonna do. We're gonna. Jesse and I are working on our schedule coordination at this rate, but we have stuff to talk about because I've been pushing for Dark Avengers. It's for all the fans. Obviously, also we have no hookups. These are all speculations.
Yeah.
obviously.
We're just talking straight out of our buttholes.
Yeah, don't take anything as fact. Based on what we've received, I'm thinking it's a Dark Avengers Thunderbolts collab thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's
I
like
agree.
neither because Dark Avengers, like it starts off really good, and then they try and tie it into like some major event book, and the event book wasn't great, and so it kind of putters out. Thunderbolts starts really strong, and it goes on a very long time, very well. And they're both. I've read the first couple issues. I've read all of Dark Avengers, not all of Thunderbolts, because that's literally like 50 issues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there yet, but they're both really good. It's gonna be amazing, and we have all the trust in the world. So I didn't realize. I can't talk about this because it's a different. I'm thinking about the Black Widow, but I can't. Anyways,
You can throw it out. We can spitball just a tiny bit. Come on, give it to me.
can't.
Come
Well,
on, man. Let's hear it.
we'll talk about it later when we get closer to when we do a Dark Avengers lesson.
I think I know where you're gonna go. We can do it off air.
Yes, we will. Sorry guys, but just wait. Just stay tuned for Dark Avengers. Last question or two questions. Two questions to end it.
I gotta rate it.
Yeah. What's your rating out of 10?
9.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What did I give Falcon and the Winter
I'm
Soldier?
pretty sure you gave it a 6.
No, I did not give it a 6. I gave the
or like a
last
7.
episode. I gave the last episode a 6, maybe.
I think so. 7.
Did I rate it a 7? I thought I rated WandaVision a 7 and Captain.
Might have been an 8.
America,
I don't know.
Maybe it was an 8. This was a 9 for me, but you know what?
That's not bad. It's your favorite one.
And I'm not going to put it as a 10. It was my favorite one based on the sci-fi weird. I love weird shit, man, and I really like science fiction. So it's a 9.
That's great. I think I give it
Boop.
7.2.
What? Why are we doing points now?
Well, it's because it's fun.
Okay.
That's a good reason for me.
Okay.
It's
7.2.
7.2 for sure. It's not now. I do that all the time. I think lately all my ratings have decimals.
Okay, fine.
Well, you can change
9.
it.
It's 9. It's
Okay.
just
9.0.
Splat. It's a 9, dude. 9.0.
Yeah, it's 7.2. For the reasons I said. Again, though, I'm glad so many people liked it because if comic book content does well, there's only more comic book content. So glad to see it. Glad
There was people that didn't like it. I read some things where people didn't really like it, and there was, reasons why. But I don't care what they say because I liked it for the reasons I liked it.
Yeah, I'm definitely the minority, but it's chill. Like it was good. Again, like more good than bad for sure. Some of the mental, it is hurdles with stuff. With what I mean, they're making their own rules, and accepting their rules, I think, is always the hardest thing when you have such broad concepts like this. So that being the case, it didn't. It just was my cup of tea, and that's fine because I'm definitely gonna watch season 2, and I'm definitely gonna keep participating.
It
So
was my cup of tea. I drank that shit right down.
it was delightful. So
it was
okay,
delightful.
and then I guess my last question is, how do you think something like this is going to impact the rest of the MCU?
It's going to happen immediately. I mean, maybe not in Shang-Chi, but as soon as Spider-Man, for sure.
Yeah, I'm like it's building up for something crazy.
I mean, I almost kind of wanted to go back and watch that quick little clip of the Spider-Man
Like
actors coming out of
the one teaser, yeah,
right when
with
there's
the whiteboard.
board. I wanted to go back and look at the whiteboard and be like, this is multiversal shit.
There's so much on there too. I bet.
But right, isn't the title of the title of the movie itself is like No Way Home? He's going to get trapped in another
branch. Yeah, and that's how it's going to
and
work.
he's going to get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And he might need Doctor Strange to come get him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see Tom Hiddleston showing up in Doctor Strange being like, hey, man.
And I'm so excited for their interactions because
he's going to be like this girl version of me fucked everything up. And
Loki. Oh.
Yeah, Loki.
I thought you were talking about Spider-Man.
No, Tom Hiddleston. Right? Oh, it's all
Two Toms
right?
with the H. Yeah, you're good.
But check it out, though, because then Doctor Strange is going to be like, yeah, I know. It was in the one vision that I saw of like how this is all going to play out that I had to watch 1,000,000 times.
Yeah. He was
like, you had to take that Tesseract.
Yeah.
That was the one timeline.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. That's when it really starts making your head hurt. When you start going, oh, this because of that. Did Kang let this happen because he had to take the Tesseract because he doesn't want to do it anymore? And now one way or the other,
No, I don't think he was looking at it like that.
I'm just saying.
I think
you
he
can
was
start processing things like that, and then that's when it really gets your head.
I think he was looking at everything
spinning.
like it's all one singular timeline until they get to Thanos on Titan when they're trying to get the glove off of him.
Maybe.
I think that's where my brain stops and starts.
He watched that 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000 different fights.
He wasn't looking at the past. He wasn't rewatching the past.
So he was watching them fight 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, he went to every outcome of how they are going to beat him
1,000,000 times.
No, it was. He saw every decision they made during that fight because there's so many different opportunities to make so many different decisions, and every
decision's a different branch.
Yeah, because like how can we prevent him from getting the time stone, because that was the thing at the time.
And when you think about it, see, this is where the quantum physics thing. And when you think
I don't
about
think
it,
anything
every
from
decision,
Avengers 1 then and there had to.
But every decision that could have happened, and the TVA had to go back and correct it.
Yeah.
Like literally every one of them. That's their job.
Yeah, and so that was the singular timeline. Yeah, absolutely. But I think
see, you're like, oh shit.
Well, no, it's
yeah.
No, I'm thinking about how Doctor Strange. It doesn't matter what he saw then, because again, for the TVA time, the stones don't matter.
They don't.
So, for the TVA, they didn't quite have to go edit anything he tried to do previously. It doesn't matter what Doctor Strange saw. That's really the point that I get now from that. Because it was only going to happen one way, by your logic.
Man, and I hope this opens a huge door for them to bring back anyone from death. You want Robert Downey Jr. back? Sure. I hope that they don't.
I don't think they will.
And that leads me to like some of the other characters now that I think that they should start phasing out as well.
Oh, wow.
Like all of the Avengers.
Wow.
That's just me, man.
It's a lot of things, a lot of opinions just coming out. What an episode. What a catch up.
Just saying.
Yeah, no, I just think that we're going to get every version of everything. And I mean like cheesy versions of everyone and da-da-da-da. Like I just think we're going to get everything, every version of everything.
I hope they don't fuck it up.
I don't think they will.
Oh, well.
We got Endgame and that happened. And look at their track record. You literally just became the guy we talked about.
Remember the CW Flash show? Gah.
Yeah, because that's the same.
Yeah, I did it on purpose.
Like,
Come on, I just lobbed you.
It's still going. That's the worst part.
Is it really still on?
And hey, for my fans that like the Flash show, keep enjoying it. Don't let Jesse hear.
I love that show.
Yeah, because you still watch it.
I loved it through like 5 seasons.
The first 2 seasons, I think.
Okay, maybe it was 2 seasons, but there's so many episodes in a season that it felt like 5.
It is. Anyone who's still committed to that show, bless your soul.
It's like, here's 6 Loki episodes or 60 season 1 Flash shows. Like, who needs 60 shows? It's an hour each time.
You're not wrong. I align with you on that. Anyways, Jesse, thank you so much for coming along.
He's tiring me, man.
You're actually on schedule, going to be back next week we're actually doing a couple episodes back to back because we're up next to Suicide Squad.
Are you sure you don't want to do Young Avengers? I already read it.
No.
Fine. That's fine.
We'll work it out. We'll work. Hey, it's either Jesse's coming back
Cameron's,
next week.
You guys should have seen the look of frustration on Cameron's face when I just said that.
Well, I gotta. There's.
He's
logistics.
like, don't mess with my timeline.
There are logistics that
see what I did there.
Are factors. Alrighty. Anyways, thank you, Jesse. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.